Sometime around that stage, I became aware of something called the TPW, the Philanthropy Workshop, which is run by the Institute for Philanthropy. And that's a 3-week program which is run over a year, so 3 full weeks run over a 12-month period. A week in London, a week in a developing country, in my case I went to North Vietnam, and a week in New York. But what was really interesting was that you spent all of those 3 weeks with the same group of peers, 12 people who you therefore got to know incredibly well, and they all had a common frame of reference, which was that they were trying to work out how to give effectively. Some of them it was inherited money, some of it was self-made money, but some of it was money from other members of their family. But in every case, they were trying to achieve something useful with what they could give. And so it ended up being very personal, and very close relationships were formed out of it. And it forced you to not only hear other people's experiences and why they were trying to do certain things, but it also forced you to think very carefully about what they call the theories of change were, which were driving your own giving. And in my case, there were certain things that I concluded fairly quickly, like handouts create dependency. Therefore, you always had to ensure that you weren't creating a dependency. I believe that, particularly in social problems in Britain, we've lost a sense of ownership of our own communities. Therefore, if we could back groups that were trying to take back ownership of their problems. And another belief is that actually people often know the solution to their own problems. It's accessing the solution that's the problem. And so it forced us to think very hard about these theories of change that drive our giving. And I think what was also a surprise on that course was we visited quite a few groups which were about advocacy, which was something I never ever thought about. But advocacy, in a sense, is using skills to be able to, and giving to try and change the climate around a particular problem. And I suppose I became aware that philanthropy was a very immature art in Britain. And maybe there were skills that I had which I could contribute. One of the people who was on the course used a wonderful expression when he said, "I'm really just a drip." He said, "You know, what I've got to give is so small, I'm just a drop in the ocean, and we're all just little drips, aren't we?" And it made me think that maybe if local giving was about being a drip in a little glass rather than a drop in the ocean, where you could actually see some measurable change. Or another way of putting it was that I may not be able to change the world, but if I did it locally, maybe I could change someone's world. But it also made me aware of the concept of leverage. And I suppose leverage can be many things. You know, I know one situation where somebody was able to provide the founding money of 25,000 for setting up a school, and as a result he attracted £1 million worth of money from the European Union to set up a school in a particular area. That was leverage. In my case, I suppose I felt that if I used my skills, whatever they were, and I would hope one of them was the capacity to be able to stand up and talk, and maybe I could use my skills to be able to leverage other people increasing their giving. So that whatever little bit I was able to put in, if I could multiply that by 10 or 100, I could change more than just what I could change with my particular piece of money. So recognizing I would only ever be a very small drop in the ocean or even a drip in a glass, if I could make that glass into a bucket full by being able to increase the amount, then somehow I was achieving some leverage.